Hello and welcome to this edition of Saturday Chat with me, Big Scott 35. I go over more personal hobby things and some stuff going on that where I can just talk it out and kind of get to where we want to be on Sunday night. So this past week, not a lot going on in the hobby wise. Again, I just don't. I'm not feeling it from Fanatics. Having I think they're finally coming out with Heritage. uh I'm kind of interested to see, we know what it's going to look like, right? But what the inserts are going to be, um for that, usually, it's the same inserts. uh how they're going to do them, we'll wait and see. uh it's just that's the really the second release of the year. I mean, for retail. Uh, and the other stuff's just so high, I can't deal with it. I did get a blaster, haven't opened it up. I went to Walmart to pick up some things today. Went ahead and picked up a blaster, because I really feel like retail for that Series One flagship, and I bet you Heritage is going to be the same way. It's kind of, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, like making it worth its while or what, but I just seem like hobby and jumbo was a waste of money, for people. As much as I saw, if you hit that one or whatever, you go, see, hi, you're wrong. But it is what it is, and so it's just not much going on in the hobby right now. We did, finally Strongsville, all the roundup and everything we got after the weekend. Again, it seems like everybody had a good time, and I'm happy. And I guess it was even TCG there and some modern. And I have something to speak on that too. So again, vintage guys wanting kids to be in the hobby to buy vintage, like they're going to just jump right in and start buying vintage. Unless their dad or mom or somebody in their family is already getting vintage and they really want to be like them and not buy the players they like, because I think that's where most people start. But even more than that, more kids get into other card stuff. I got into, when I was a kid, you know, I had, Star Wars, what was TV shows, all that stuff was where, Buck Rogers, stuff like that was where, I really liked Battlestar Galactica, um, those cards. So, and then I got no more into sports as I got older. Now it's Pokemon, and Pokemon is the gateway. And I went to a show today. I didn't think I was going to buy anything. I didn't think I was going to buy anything. Now, I went with my 200. I came back with a little over $60. So it was bargain shopping. I did get one auto. The Got a Pete Alonso. I'll be showing that Wednesday. So what I thought I was going to show this Wednesday is going to be backed up another week. So this Wednesday will be the card show pickups. I did pick up, though, it was a lot of TCG. The way it was set up, it's hard for me to get a real accurate, but I believe it was close to 50-50. It might have leaned more to sports this time. It was at a baseball diamond on the concourse, where you walk up uh, behind the bottom level. It was from first base all the way around to third base. Um, it was quite a few tables, tight space. It's not a very big concourse. It's not a very, it's an A stadium. It's not a big stadium. The one in Charlotte, not Charlotte, the one in Greensboro is bigger. It's a wider area. I think they do a show there as well. But it was packed. Again, same promotion. Again, I think they need to think about bigger places with the same amount of tables, uh, because it was, again, people with strollers and just kids. Like, I want the kids there, but I want the moms and dads to be mindful. I know when you got a baby, I want you to come out, but you can't just stand there right in the middle of the walk. I mean, you can, but you're pissing off everybody, especially when the walkway is barely big enough for people to look at tables in one line of traffic. So you had to give wider right of ways for people to get through. All it took was one person not paying attention to just stop up everything. Um, yeah, so it was pretty bad in the middle, and then it was pretty bad all the way through. It was just a line all the way. I wanted to walk all the way around and start my way back, and I almost turned around and left at the beginning because I was just like, man, this is too crowded. Then once I started looking into cards, it all melted. And then at first I was like, man, this is all food. Then I started seeing the sports cards. Uh, so I got some good deals. There was definitely people trying to get rid of their stuff there. I hit the first table was a vendor I've never seen before around here. He had 3 or 4 tables of boxes, and he had them separated by team, and you pretty much either gave it to him or his girlfriend, and he made the decision on how much, and he was given hella deals, hella deals, and people would buy stuff and then find out how much you were paying, and nobody was squabbling about the amount, trying to get it less. People were just standing there, just making another stack. Uh, this guy, you could tell he was just. I don't think he's trying to get out. I just think he's probably somebody like me, got a lot of stuff, and just trying to unload and get rid of stuff without just giving it away, but to make a little bit. And I'm sure he had a very good day there. Another table, there's his family, a father, mother, and 2 sons. They're always in the shows around here, especially with POW. Uh, they do sports and non-sports. That's probably the majority of what I got. I always go to their table. They have Disney, Marvel, DC, which is hard for me to find, so I can always find some DC stuff. Uh, what else did just I picked up WNBA from wrestling, and they have baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and then they had like a dollar table full of boxes. I have yet to go through them. Next week, if I go to show in Salisbury, which I'm pretty sure I'm going unless something happens or I have to work or something, I will go on down there just to see if that is far enough away where it might be a different vendors closer to Charlotte, like in between here and Charlotte. So I'm kind of interested to see if it's a little different. I did buy from a couple of the same vendors from when I went to that elementary school one, because it was the same outfit putting it on. Then it was definitely crowded, but it seemed like everybody was having a good time. No squabbling. They had the ball field had one of their concession stands open, so you could get food, hot food, any beverage. It was expensive. I paid like $6 for a water. I think I thought I was in a Las Vegas nightclub. But yeah, it was fun. And that family. Now this is the key point I want to take, and I meant to get their names so I can really speak them up. They have a lot of Pokemon. The oldest son really gets to know the people. They talk. I knew their parents have been sick, and I said I'm glad to see them back. They had the flu or whatever that was going around down here a couple of weeks ago or about a month ago. Um, so, I always, want to at least say hi, see what they got. But man, little kids come up to them and they deal with the kids. The parents stand back. The kids bring their Pokemon cards. They show interest in their Pokemon cards. They actually make deals with them. One young lady had her little princess dress on, was going through the Disney cards, and asked the gentleman how much the two cards were. And the father said, I really like the princess here, and just gave them to him. They were, Disney cards. It was really, that is what brings the kids back to do to any show. So when they come back and they see all, and they get a little older, maybe they get interested in WNBA soccer, women's softball, whatever, or not in anything at all. They're still interested in the hobby, just not the same hobby we're it's a card hobby, trading card hobby. And those two young ladies that I saw with them, they're going to come back to that table, and they're going to, and that's what it's about. I saw more kids, young kids. When I say young, I'm talking preteen to, I'm talking about 11, 12-year-olds out there wheeling and dealing. And I've said it before, they're setting the standard, it feels like, when it comes to a lot of these cards. And I have a couple of thoughts. One is the Pelican cases. I have come to the conclusion, and I'm probably way off, that the Pelican case has become more of an accessory than an actual need. I think most of these people carry it around to say, hey, I got a Pelican case. And they never use, it's almost, when I go to these small shows, I don't carry a backpack. I don't see a need to. I wear cargo shorts. I know they're not cool anymore, but I don't care. It gives me pockets. I don't have to, only when I go to these shows, I know I was like 2.5, 3 hours. And that's, 3 hours is probably a long day at one of these shows. I only take $200. It's not like I'm going with, a whole bunch. And it was a long walk to the car. The car, you had to park up on a hill behind the outfield fence, behind actually the the right field wall. No, wait a minute. No, the right field wall. I'm right field wall. You had to walk all the way to the left field entrance to get in, and then walk all the way around then it went all the way around to the first base side. You do a lot of walking. And, I just don't see a need for a backpack. If you carry one, that's good for you. But these people that carry these backpacks that look like they're going on a 20-day hike, or, they're out, running maneuvers with the military or something, and they're this full of stuff. I don't know what they got in them. I really don't. A table? I don't know. So, now when you go to an all-day show, a big show, Strongsville, in these destination shows, a bigger show in your area that, that I might want to sit down, and I want my stool with me because I know I'm going to be there a while. Then I take that, because when I go to Hickory, I take my backpack because it's a bigger show. So I might have more boxes to sit down, and I'll always have a place to sit. I have some bad knees, so I have to, every once in a while, just got to have pop a squat, and I'm fine. Drink some water, whatnot, and that way I can take my own water, all that stuff. But yeah, I wanted to just bring that about. But man, the kids there today, there's a ton of them. There's a ton of kids at these shows. It was good. When I talked about this first show they had a year or so, well, this is their third summer and their second spring. The first show they did was in the fall, well, 2 years ago. and it was mostly TCG and not very big and poorly run. They got their shit together. Now they just got to figure out where else to go to make this show. I think they need to think about the fairgrounds um, or community building. I know in Greensboro they have the National Guard building that gets used every once in a while. That building's just so hot. But I think they need to find bigger spaces. There's colleges all around here that'll probably rent some space. And I don't know I don't know how much. I don't know how much they're charging for tables. From my understanding, it's like $65 a table. And these people are getting that back in the first 30 minutes of the show. This show started at 9. I got there 9:30ish, something to 10. Parking lots were full. I had to park at the furthest one that you can see from the ballpark. This is a typical like in-city ballpark where it's got some parking there, not a lot, and you have to park away from the ballpark and then walk in. They have some satellite sites, parking and stuff that's like a few blocks away. I think they even run a shuttle at the night. I'm not sure. But that's one of the things about this park. And I know it's like that at Greensboro as well. So it was already packed when I got there. And then when I left, there was cars parked everywhere. Everywhere. On the grass, everywhere. And I know the ballpark in the city was probably upset if they saw that because they just did a lot of work of planting trees and grass and stuff and make it real nice around there. They're kind of building up the city from there out, and they're doing a good job here in Winston-Salem. I got to give it to them. The city's starting to come back a little bit from, tobacco industry leaving. I'm trying to think what else. That was about it. Like I said, a lot of excitement. They had door prizes. It's very good. I still don't know about outdoor shows and venues for it. It was chilly in the morning, and then by the time I left, it was on the brink of getting hot. But it wasn't as windy as times in the past through the corridor there. But the lighting sucks. It's really hard to see. I don't have the greatest eyes to begin with. They're not terrible, but they're not young, and a lot of squinting. There's an area behind the press box that it's really bad. They really need to have the lights on there, under there, and they don't. So that's one drawback, but I think they've outgrew that little venue, definitely, and kudos to them for that. Like I said, now we have 3 really good, even a fourth smaller one. We got 3 strong and fourth one that's kind of not weak but smaller. It just has a couple of shows at Salisbury. And I think there's 2 different promoters in Salisbury. So this area, like I said, almost every weekend. I think last weekend was the only weekend where I couldn't find something, and I could have drove an hour away very easily and went to a show. Next week is an hour, but it's an hour in the right direction where I think it's going to be a difference. I've never been to this town, so I might see what else is in the town for other hobbies. Antique malls. If you don't go to antique malls for the hobby, especially the guys that like the vintage stuff, you might not find vintage cards, but you'll find vintage items, baseball items, like pictures and things like that. historical stuff that I find very compelling. Uh, so especially for like whatever colleges or if you're lucky enough to be in a city with a major league. So around here we get a lot of Cal Ripken stuff because he played in Charlotte for the Orioles organization. So there's a lot of Ripken stuff around here. So I like that. Uh, and I found some pictures and things like that. Ted Williams selling Abilene, I think, oil. So, just something to think about. You don't have to go. You can do whatever you want. But, the show today, uh, I give it a B minus because it was just so tight in there and dark and outside. Other than that, great show. But there was the pricing, again, all over the place. These guys, some guys were. The problem is when for these people, you have several people there that are priced to move items, and I found them. Most of them have the boxes. Most of them are going to have their stuff by team and all that, which I love. I get very frustrated looking through boxes that are not organized. And then when I start looking through a box that's supposed to be baseball and I get 6 different sports, I tend to stop. And I usually, get turned off very quick. And I know at the National, that's what mostly, or big shows, that's what they are, because people can't sit there, keep everything organized. It would be impossible. I'll be a little bit more lenient on that grounds. But today there was enough of them there that I didn't have to deal with that. And there was enough people. There was a few guys that really had things overpriced. There was one guy there with 1960 Batman and Robin cards from Japan. Mako's. He was surprised I knew what they were. I've seen them before and looked them up to see what they were. I mean, that's all it was. It was no big deal, but he was way overpriced. I couldn't even I didn't know where the counter at when he gave me the price. He had 6 of them and they were not. And he was like, "Oh, if I get them just authenticated, they're like $75 each." That's not what I was seeing, but hey, it's his stuff. He can do whatever he wanted. Maybe if I find them down the road and I more money, or when I first get there, that's something. But like I said, I am really strict on what I was getting today. I did pick up some WNBA. I picked up some Star Wars. I picked up another Winnie the Pooh card, couple of Pete Alonso's, one being an autograph, and a bunch of UVA football cards. I did pretty well for my PC. Made me happy, and I have fun doing that. I did look at something caught my eye that made me want to. That's on my radar now for vintage. Definitely on my radar for vintage. I'm going to have to do some more investigating to see what I saw today and I really liked it. And there'll be more of that to come down the road. But that's it for today. Tomorrow night, it's kind of going to be an open night of whatever you want to talk about or whatever comes up. I'm still hearing, vintage and about TCG and all this stuff. I don't, I understand when you go to a show, of course, today, would I have been happy if it was no TCG in all sports cards? I'd be even more, get basketball out of there and I'd be even more happy. Or, just have baseball. Just have Mets and I would be the happiest person on earth. But we don't live in those worlds. So they got to bring people in the door. These are some young guys that run this promotion, and they're grinding and they're doing good. So, we'll probably definitely talk a little bit more about that. Hopefully, Ed will jump on. He hasn't been on in a few weeks. So until tomorrow night, like, share, bring your topics. Uh, Subscribe if you haven't, and until next time, and enjoy. If y'all are watching WrestleMania, I'll understand, and I know it's a big night. I don't think I'm doing WrestleMania this year. It's just not. It doesn't have the oomph that I'm looking for. The fights or the storylines. I'm not really digging any of it. So uh, it was a lot of the storylines were done in the last. I don't know. It wasn't a great build up. Let's put it that way. So until tomorrow night, see ya.